Welcome to Thursday, April 7th, 2022, your day weather podcast, exclusively brought to you by Cowboy State Daily, Wyoming's news authority. Visit them at cowboystatedaily.com and on their Facebook page. Well, there's a lot going on over the next 5 to 7 days. That's typical for April. The good news about that is that it is going to mean some needed precipitation coming over the next several days, especially next week. Let's talk, though, about the wind. We still have very strong winds today for eastern Wyoming, eastern Colorado. The western sides of Wyoming and Colorado won't have nearly as much wind. But all of Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, parts of eastern Montana, I'm afraid it's another day of high winds, blowing dust, and just miserable wind conditions. But nice weather is going to develop for Friday. If there's a day that looks like it'll be pretty good, it'll be Friday. And I think for some of you, not all of you, but for some of you, Saturday will end up being a good day. But for the western areas, you'll start to see on Saturday increasing clouds, cooler temperatures, and some developing showers. This is because a cold front is going to push out of the Pacific Northwest late Saturday into Sunday. There's going to be some rain, snow, showers. There's even going to be some thunderstorms in a few areas late Saturday night into Sunday. And it's going to cool off quite a bit Sunday and Monday after 2 days where it's going to get warmer Friday and Saturday. Now, there are still a lot of question marks, as you would expect this far out. However, our confidence remains high. A storm system is going to develop early next week in the region, and I do think it's going to be an impactful storm with rain and snow and cold and wind. It's just a question mark of where the system sets up and where the focus of the heavier part of the storm will be. We really don't have a great handle on that yet, but many of you are going to be impacted by rain, wind, snow, and I think probably more snow than rain as we get into the early to middle parts of next week. And I think the next couple of weeks, starting this weekend, are going to be very busy. So livestock interest, you need to keep an eye on the situation. Since this is going to be a cold storm early next week, it's not going to be one of those April storms where it's mostly rain then turns to snow. It'll be a quick changeover to snow, and it will be windy as well in some areas of the high plains. Today's satellite photo still shows the big swirl of clouds. It hasn't made much progress, has it? If you look at the center of the low pressure, yesterday it was over here. It's barely moved. And that's why the wind is going to continue to blow very strong on the backside of the system. We're going to have very strong winds aloft into this area here through another day today. In this area here, winds are going to still be very, very strong. But you can see the clear skies with high pressure building in behind it. That's why the western slopes weather will be better today and really good Friday into early Saturday. So you can see the system has barely moved over 24 hours. There's a strong wind flow coming in from the north. Here's the next weather maker right here. This is going to be a low and a front that's going to cut across the area late Saturday into Sunday. And you can probably see from looking at our 300 millibar chart, or this is 30,000 feet. This shows the jet stream level winds. So just to show you how extensive and how big this storm is, look at the geographic scale of this trough. It's huge. And the winds with it, very, very impressive. That's why it's so windy and windy over a large area. These are the predicted wind gusts for the day today. So you can see all of South Dakota, all of Nebraska, almost all of Kansas, and then those eastern areas of Wyoming and eastern Colorado, down into Texas, down into Oklahoma. Just a really, really strong wind flow coming into this area. So it's one more day of very high winds in these orange and red areas here. But look at how the winds drop off once you get west of the Continental Divide. By tomorrow, the upper level low makes it a little bit further east into Michigan and southern Canada. It's starting to accelerate a little bit more and get stretched out and weaken a bit, but it's still close by. But high pressure is beginning to build in, and a warmer air mass comes out of California in the desert southwest and into the northern Rockies tomorrow. But you can see this wave here, this wave here, this wave here, and high pressure building up into the Gulf of Alaska. So the stage is set for the weekend into early next week for stormy weather to return to the western United States. And look at these temperatures. You can see that the cold in the U.S. is centered in the Midwest and East. This is for tomorrow, but look at this bright orange red area here. This is the warmer air tomorrow that's coming out of California and the desert states into the high plains and Rockies. This is why tomorrow you're going to see a really big improvement in the weather. It'll feel like spring again. It won't be nearly as windy and temperatures warm up. However, by Saturday into Sunday, Notice we have a large trough getting carved out over the Rockies and high plains. The high pressure this weekend by late Sunday into Monday goes all the way into the Midwest, so the high pressure ridge doesn't last long. This little wave right here is what's going to swing through late Saturday and Sunday, and then this area right here is where it's going to go into the Great Basin, diving southeast by Sunday night into Monday. So all of a sudden, there's a lot going on in the western United States by the middle to the end of the weekend. And this is what it looks like with temperatures and precipitation. So let's look at precipitation. This is with the first front coming through late Saturday into Sunday. So we're going to see some areas of rain and snow in the Pacific Northwest, across portions of Montana, and we're going to see a little bit of rain and snow shower activity and a few thunderstorms. Notice this little strip here of rain and snow over the northern half of Wyoming, up through the Bighorns, Yellowstone Park, Jackson Hole, into the Black Hills again. So there's going to be another nice little swath of moisture Saturday and Sunday with what's best described as probably just April showers of rain and snow and a little bit of thunder. There'll be some showers spreading out across the plains of southern Wyoming, northern Colorado as well. So that's with the first wave. And you can see by Sunday, this is by Sunday afternoon, colder air comes back on in. So that warm up we have Friday into Saturday is very, very brief. By Sunday, cold air begins to pour in with this next trough. So it's going to get cold again after a brief warm up. Then by Tuesday morning, the other low that came through Saturday and Sunday moves out, and then we see a low diving towards the Four Corners area. Lots of gradient here, lots of jet stream energy. So a low pressure gets carved out by Tuesday morning. By Wednesday noon, this is by Wednesday noon, a strong upper level low is somewhere in the high plains. Now it's the battle of the models. We have shown you this before, and when we get in situations like this, I want to show you what I see and what the models are saying so we can look at the different scenarios that could play out. So what we're looking at is the European model, which this spring has been by far the superior model. This low pressure center right here in the upper levels will end up producing a strong surface low over east central Colorado. This is a classic setup right here for a high plains winter storm with rain, then snow, and a lot of wind, with another low coming in behind it that may be arriving by next weekend. This is the European model. Now notice the differences between the Canadian and the U.S. model. Here's the Canadian model. It's showing it further north. The further north track of the Canadian model would take the worst weather into an area right here. The European model would take the worst weather in an area that's going to be more like this, but also reaching further back to the west as well. So the European model, the Canadian model, the U.S. model. Now the U.S. model and the Canadian model are very similar. So actually in reality, this is not too bad when it comes to model agreement. But I will tell you just the difference between the European model being further south and the Canadian and the U.S. model being further north makes a really big difference, especially for Colorado, southern Wyoming, southern and central Nebraska, and western Kansas, because the more northerly track would focus more on Montana, northern Wyoming, northeastern Wyoming, the Dakotas, and parts of northern and western Nebraska. So that's what we've got to sort out. If you were to look at the European model solution, look at this heavy swath of moisture right here with the storm. Now, this is good news and bad news. We really desperately need the moisture here, especially in the areas it's showing it. But keep in mind, this is a model. This could end up further south. This could end up further north. But what we're seeing is an agreement on an axis of heavy moisture developing east of the Rockies late Monday and the Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. There'll be a lot of wind with it, a lot of cold. And notice there's also going to be west of the divide, good moisture getting into these areas here. And look at California, the Pacific Northwest getting into the act. So the western United States is going to see a lot of weather, and there's going to be plenty of cold air getting drug into this storm here. So if you look at the snowfall forecast, again, take this with a grain of salt. I just want to show you this for purposes of highlighting the scenarios that we're looking at. As I showed you with the heavier moisture, the axis could end up there. The axis of heavier moisture could end up here or a little further north. So we've got to decide in the coming days where that axis of moisture will be. But we're confident it's going to be there. Notice how much snow the model is forecasting. So this is going to be a mostly snow event. This is why stock growers in Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, parts of Colorado, and the interior West need to monitor this storm for anybody in calving and lambing operations. Have yourself a good Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.